Hey everyone, it's Types, and today I'm going to be making a tier list of the different expansions from the Scarlet and Violet era. It's a little confusing to talk about some of these because, like, what exactly counts as cards in the set. So, generally, like, Palladian Fates only counting cards that, like, came out first in the set. So, Palladian Fates, most of the cards aren't new. Gardevoir EX doesn't count. It's a Scarlet and Violet card, base set card, not a Palladian Fates card. And like Charizard EX, people would say it's from Obsidian Flames, not Palladian Fates. The card's only from one set, the set that introduced it. This gets a little bit confusing with Scarlet and Violet base set and some other sets that have like reprints of cards that were already in the game. So like Professor's Research like wasn't introduced into the game new with Scarlet and Violet base set. It was already in the game before then, so I guess it doesn't count as a new card. And then same thing with like Boss's Orders. However, then you have something like Twilight. Wait, does Twilight Masquerade have one of these? I'm trying to think. There's some cards like Stellar Crown did, right? So we in Stellar Crown we had ourselves. We did it? No, maybe it didn't. I'm Paradox Shift did, right? So Paradox Shift, we got ourselves Countercatcher, and Countercatcher was a reprint, but it was a reprint of a card from Crimson Invasion, which was not in standard, so Countercatcher would count, but then like Professor's Research wouldn't count. From Scarlet and Violet, we'll see if it comes up too much in the ranking of the sets. This is going to be just strictly a tier list. The tiers will not be ordered, and it's S, A, B, C, D, F, and we'll see. I'm going to try to distribute things. Well, I don't know. I'll put them just where I think they go, and it's not on a curve, so MIDI sets are generally worse, and so they're gonna they have less cards. I'm not gonna say like, oh well, it's a mini set, so whatever. No, I'm gonna say it's a mini set, so it's probably gonna be worse. Not necessarily, right? If it does have good cards, it'll end up higher. But if it doesn't have good cards, I'm not gonna just put it up high because it's better than the other mini sets. Though I think there will be some mini sets that are decently high. And then we also, there are 11 sets, by the way. We have 3 mini sets, 8 main sets, including Surging Sparks, which is not out yet. Again, that's kind of weird to evaluate because it's not out yet, but yeah, that's as far as into the future as I'm going as well. These are international sets, English sets, not the Japanese sets as well. Those are different. But anyways, Scarlet and Violet also being the base set, it gets a lot of good cards. But let's take a look. I'm going to take a look at cards using, I guess, the advanced search. No, how do I do this? I haven't done this. Okay, so, we can search here. And so it's got, I'm also not doing the promos there's the energy set, Scarlet and Violet energy. That's not really a card. But anyways, from Scarlet and Violet, we have ourselves, I'm going to be looking at the like good cards. Also like basic energy don't count, but trainer special energy, things like that will count based on the things that I said at the beginning. Scarlet and Violet base set had some pretty good cards. It had some like decent Pokemon. You got Miraidon EX, Gardevoir EX, which are certainly pretty strong forces in the meta since they came out. You have also like previous evolutions like this Ralt. This Ralt isn't like the best Ralt anyways, but I'm not going to say like give any credit to this Ralt. If the previous evolution is good, then I will give it credit for that. And then Squovit's been pretty good. Arven's been an insane supporter. This is probably the best supporter that's in the game that count. Oh no, Iona's better. Iona would count, but also there's Professor's Research wouldn't qualify for this based on the criteria said. Same thing with like Palpad. Nest Ball would. Nest Ball's like a staple. So you got ourselves a staple in Nest Ball. One of the top supporters in the game, probably top 5, probably third best supporter right now in Arven. We got Judge. No, Judge what doesn't count for this, but you have a bunch of good cards here, and you have cards that like aren't counted as well, but there are a bunch of good Pokemon. The Pokemon aren't insane. The trainers are pretty insane though, with stuff like Nest Ball and Arven. And Electric Trainer has been really good, and Miraidon EX. Gardevoir EX has been insane since it came out. It's been like a top Pokemon. We have seen a lot of Pokemon on the Gardevoir EX level, but it's still been very good. With Drifloon, we got Klefki. We have Miraidon EX. I do feel like I kind of need to put it in S tier, but I almost don't want to put it there. Like, comparing it to something like, say, Sword and Shield base set, I feel like it's not as impactful as that set. At some point, I might talk about that, but I think I'll put it in A tier. It's been a very good set, but because of the fact that like Professor's Research has been good, but it wasn't a new edition. You could still play it right now if Scarlet and Violet didn't come out, right? So ultimately, Arven's been good, Nestball's been good. There've been some good trainers. They've been good, but like it's not like every deck's relying on these trainers in this set. For example, I'm gonna look at Sword and Shield base set real quick here. I'm guessing I can just go here. So um, if we look, then we can see ourselves that there's a bunch of cards. Oh, there's really a lot. But in terms of trainers, we have Marnie and Professor's Research, which are really in essentially every single deck, versus Professor's Research now is not in every deck. And then we also had Quick Ball and Evolution Incense. Quick Ball was like a 4 of in every deck. Nest Ball is not a 4 of in every deck. It's a very good item card and one of the best in the game. Same thing with Ultra Ball, but it's not like every card or every deck is guaranteed playing certain cards from this set. So it's just a very good set, but it's not like the best in the game. When we have Paldea Evolved, this set ultimately, um, it's a solid set. Is it a solid set? It's an okay set. I mean, we've got Shampoo Excalibur, which has been good, not to the same level as the like Gardevoir EX or something. Squawkabilly EX has been really good. Then we have, Boss isn't really counting. Iono is a really good supporter. I feel like this set's okay. Its Pokemon quality is certainly somewhat mediocre to underwhelming. Well, in terms of attackers, it's been underwhelming, but Squawkabilly EX is arguably the best support Pokemon in the game right now. It's probably not. It's probably Pheasantip EX, but in terms of just like Turbo Pokemon, it's essentially the definition of Turbo decks. Pokestop and Squawkabilly EX, I guess, kind of are, but Squawkabilly EX is in like every Turbo deck. So it's a very strong card. Mimikyu's also, I think Mimikyu's really good. It's been good. Like it's certainly been a very good Pokemon in Standard since it's come out. It's been pretty solid, but I do believe that it is a really, really good Pokemon. Outside of that, though, the Pokemon like we see like United Wings, Meowscarada EX, Pokemon that just aren't that good. And I'm not cherry picking those because they are not. They're like I'm not cherry picking the worst ones. We got some that are just pretty bad as well. But then Choice Bell's like so bizarre. I guess Jet Energy, Reversal Energy, and Luminous Energy are all pretty good. And then Superior Energy Retrieval, I guess, was added to the game at this time. Though Superior Energy Retrieval's been okay. Certainly not a bad card by any means. But I don't know. I feel like it's not like one of the elite trainers. It's not like an S tier trainer. It's a good card. It's certainly a good card. I think this set is going to end up in C tier there. Ultimately, the Pokemon quality is like much weaker than Scarlet and Violet, or noticeably weaker. Like Scarlet and Violet it's got some good cards, but I definitely think there's going to be a set between these two. Then we have Obsidian Flames coming up next, or I think there'll be a few sets between these two. Then we see Obsidian Flames here has ourselves some really good cards, right? We have, so Arven's not going to be counting. Actually, no, I think we'll move Paldea Evolved up because of Iono specifically. But we have Charizard EX and Pidgeot EX, and those are really good. And we have some like it really falls off after that. I guess the next best card would be Cleffa. I've always been a big fan of Scizor. The set like really lacks depth. I always think the set is pretty good, but it's not that good in terms of like actual depth. Because in a set to be good, it needs good cards at the top, and at the best of the cards, and it needs at least 10 pretty solid cards is probably what you're looking for. And ultimately, I don't think there are 10 really solid cards. I am just looking at the competitive ones, so there might be some that I'm kind of missing that are solid, but regardless, Charizard EX, Pidgeot EX, and Cleffa are all pretty good Pokemon. And then the rest of these Pokemon are pretty, not like bad necessarily, but they're not all that. And then, yes, like Town Store and Pokemon League HQ and Vengeful Punch have definitely seen play and been solid cards, but ultimately this set's kind of disappointing as a set. Like it's the best cards are so good. Like Pidgeot EX, I'm gonna put it in C tier. Pidgeot EX and Charizard EX have been so insanely good, but what else has been good? Not that much. Then we got 151 though. 151. Oh, the set symbol is Mew. And this set it's a mini set, so it's not a great set. It's not a completely terrible set. Well, actually, not looking at like Mew EX has been good, and honestly, that's about it. Like there have been obviously other good cards. These cards have all seen some form of competitive play. Ultimately, though, maybe this is an F tier set. There's a set worse than this, I think, but I think this is an F tier set. Ultimately, it obviously has a bunch of cards. It has 151 Pokemon as well as a decent chunk of, or at least some trainers. The trainers have been pretty mediocre. I'm a fan of Daisy's help. There are a lot of cool cards here. Dodrio is also like not a bad card, but it's not a great card. You compare it with Sunzorg V-Star, and it is an okay deck in my opinion right now. It's not like a great deck, but it's okay. And we got, a handful of pretty solid Pokemon. Ditto's certainly seen its, I was gonna say its fair share of play. It's seen some play. It's okay. Then we got some control stuff and things like that. But ultimately, the set's been not the best. So I'm gonna put an F tier. Like it's been very much not the best. Mew EX is a good card. It's probably it's a good Pokemon. Certainly, you could put it in an S. Like if you're doing a tier list of Pokemon, it might be an S tier Pokemon. But ultimately, it's not like it's not a powerhouse of a card, and there's no other card that's really backing it up. So it's gonna have to end up in F tier. Then we do have Paradox Rift. Paradox Rift has what's it have? So obviously, it has Paradox Pokemon. It has Iron Hands EX. It has Iron Bundle. It has Roaring Moon EX. It has Jirachi. It has Goldengo EX. It's got Counter Catcher. It's got a lot of good cards. I think this is actually an S tier set. Like looking, it doesn't have staple Earth and Vessel and Counter Catcher. They're kind of stable. So I'm gonna put this in S tier. This is way better than I thought it was. I don't have these sets memorized. I have an idea of certainly what's in them. A pretty decent idea, but when I think of a set, I just think of a few Pokemon. I was thinking like Iron Hands EX, Roaring Moon EX, which are very good attackers as well, and versatile attackers. Roaring Moon EX isn't like super versatile, but it's certainly seen its play in a fair share of decks. Lost Zone, its own deck, some Dark Box style decks, which you could kind of blend them together some, and then you could put it with I think you could play it with other things. Maybe that's about it. But ultimately, it's a very strong Pokemon. I mean, you could just punch out anything. And then also on the other side of things, Iron Hands EX has been a very good future Pokemon. It's almost definitely the best one. Iron Thorns EX has certainly been good. And same thing with Iron Bundle. Iron Bundle is also a really good card. This is a pretty versatile Pokemon. And we have stuff like Zadu, and Valiant EX has been solid. Pico's been pretty good. Ultimately, I feel like it's not that good of a Pokemon, but it has been good. In the decks has been played in. Hoopa EX, Bombardier EX has been making a bit of a, I guess, resurgence. I don't know. It's not like a great card, but it's an okay card. And then the booster energy capsule, Sawdust Vitality. I didn't mention Sawdust Vitality. Sawdust Vitality is probably like probably the fourth best supporter in the game right now. It's probably, I'd say, Boss, Iono, Arvin, Sawdust, and then Research, unless I'm forgetting one. I'm pretty sure I'm not forgetting one. So it's for good. Turtle Scenario. Oh, and then has the TMs as well. TM Evolution has been a really strong card in the game, it's been a good card in the game. It's not been like an insane one, but it's been a pretty good one. So overall, yeah, the set is a pretty clear S tier, and it's really, really strong. Next up, we have ourselves another set here. And no, sorry if there's background noise there. Then we have ourselves Pelean Fates. Pelean Fates is PAF is the set symbol, and there are a lot of cards that saw competitive play from the set, except most of them are not actually from the set. So all these shiny Pokemon don't count. But then we do have, what do we have from the set? Espathra EX. This is really bad. I think most people know that. Gengar's like kind of whatever. And Espathra EX is a Pokemon I like, but it's not that good. It's noticeably worse than 151, which I feel kind of bad putting him in the same tier, but it's pretty bad. It doesn't really have any new cards, so yeah, it's not great. Then we have Temporal Forces, and Temporal Forces has some really solid cards. We do have the other set of Paradox Pokemon. So these are not the same level as Paradox Rifts Paradox Pokemon, but these have been solid. Got Roaring Moon, which is, pretty decent. Ultimately, I feel like this is in B tier. It's not like an insane set, but it's a solid set. Oh, this is the first ace. Oh, this had Prime Catcher. Prime Catcher is a weird card to evaluate. Like, obviously, it's a really good card, arguably the best card in the game, but arguably it's like not, or just completely not comparable. It had Buddy Poffin too. Anyway, no, this set was better than I thought. Like, it's got a decent depth of cards. I think it's an A tier set. It's pretty good. It's not like a broken set, but it's a pretty good set. We got some really strong cards. The Pokemon aren't all that, but comparing this to Scarlet and Violet feels pretty fair. It's been a good set. We got Prime Catcher, we got Buddy Buddy Poffin, we got some good Pokemon. Raging Bolt EX has been good. Roaring Moon's been good. Chinchino's been good. Like really, really solid Pokemon. There have been others that are certainly decent as well. And the Booster Energy capsules don't count, but Prime Catcher, Buddy Berry Poffin, they're just really, really good cards and really impactful in the game right now. Then we have Twilight Masquerade, and Twilight Masquerade is a pretty interesting set here. We got a good chunk of cards as well. One of the best is definitely the Teal Master Ogre EX. I think Corso Master Ogre EX is actually better than Teal Master Ogre EX personally. They're very different cards. They're not really comparable at all. But that's just my personal opinion. I mean, as I said, they're so different. The Cornerstone Master Ogre EX is technically a card you could put into any deck to essentially auto-win matches. It doesn't auto-win matches, which is the somewhat awkward thing, but it's still a really good card. Those are good. The Water Ogerpon's very solid as well. It's not a bad card. Iron Thorns EX, win the World Championship. Blood Mirror Saloon EX, insanely good Pokemon. Dragapult EX, very, very good Pokemon. These are newer cards, so we have a smaller sample size, but Dragapult EX has been, or admittedly, a tiny bit disappointing, but it's still been a pretty good card. In a tier list, I'd probably put in A tier. And we have some other fun Pokemon as well. We got like Frostlass and EX, Tatsugiri, Dracoloak. Tatsugiri's been pretty good. And Monkey I didn't remember if I said Monkey Monkeydora's been a really strong Pokemon within the metagame, which is kind of surprising. Like, its value is, I don't know, its value is pretty solid. It's not like, it's a very good Pokemon in Gardevoir. It's seen playing like a lot of decks, which is pretty surprising. It's seen playing like Lost Box and stuff where it doesn't have that much value. Though it does have value, right? It's not like a bad Pokemon in those decks. And then we have Accompanying Flute, what has turned into a pretty strong card in the metagame. Carmen, Bug Catching Set. Hassle's been a pretty solid supporter, like not the highest tier, but a solid supporter nonetheless. Handstander wouldn't make the cut for something like this. The A specs are not insane, but they're like pretty good. Not Prime Catcher, but they're pretty good. So I'll put Twilight Masquerade in A tier as well because of the quality of the Pokemon. This is potentially one of the best Pokemon sets, if not the best Pokemon set. Then we have our last mini set, which is Shrouded Fable. SFA, there we go. It's like, what is the set symbol? And this does not have as many Pokemon, but it has some really good ones. We got Pheasantipty EX, Dusknoir, as well as Dusclops, Pekkaron EX, and Source X Machinations, Night Stretcher. These cards have been pretty good. And Kyurem has been, pretty solid. Ultimately, this is arguably an A tier set. It lacks depth. Like, in terms of attackers, it doesn't really have any. It does have the Kyurem, which is, I guess, an attacker, but it's not exactly an attacker. And then we have the Blood Mirror Saluna, which isn't very good. So it's not a terrible card, but certainly on the weaker end of the cards that we've looked at so far. And like Haxorus and Slitherwing are also attackers. But ultimately, I think this is also an A tier set, which is really crazy for a mini set. This set has been so insane throughout, its time in standard, but like it's really good for being a mini set. It's not an insanely good, like Night Stretcher is a good like pseudo stable card. Super Rod was in Paldea Evolved too. I didn't realize that. And I think it's still B tier. Ultimately, its Pokemon are just not that strong. But yeah, these cards, Dusknoir, Pheasantipty EX, are kind of like shaping the metagame, which is really crazy. And we got some other good cards. Colossus Tenacity has also been quite good. It's been pretty solid. Then we have Stellar Crown. Stellar Crown is definitely a set that I thought was really good. And because of a few different cards. This is kind of awkward because we can't see a lot of the cards. But anyways, the big ones have been Greninja EX. I think this is glitching, so we're just going to look at cards in Stellar Crown. Because, yeah, it's glitching a little bit. Stellar Crown has, I do think Slazzle is a solid card, but whatever. We have seen, certain cards be really good. Ultimately, the Pokemon haven't been that good. Like, on this page of cards, we don't really have anything super strong. But then, in terms of trainers, we have a few that are insane. We got Briar. We have ourselves Sparkling Crystal, which is quite good. We have, also, we have Area Zero Underdepths. Area Zero Underdepths is really good. Noctowl is very good. Trap Ghost EX is very good. ultimately, I thought the set was going to be really solid, but it's not been. I think it's underperformed. I thought it was going to be like a very insane set because of the trainers, and I think they do have the potential with more Terra support. But at this time, I don't think they're quite there. Oh, Crispin's also been a very good supporter, but in my opinion, definitely a step below Briar. I don't know. They're pretty different. Like Glass Trumpet has a lot of potential, but ultimately, I think the set's honestly only been B tier so far. We might see it, jump up at some point in the future, but it's been outshined by Shrouded Fable. Then the last set is Surging Sparks. I am going to look at the Justin Basil website here for the visual set list. And the best cards from this set. This set's like kind of weird. There's some really like bad stuff in it. There's some like solid stuff. Melodic EX is definitely going to be a solid Pokemon. Same thing with Serial Edge EX, presumably a Black Kyurem EX. Pikachu EX is it's weird, but it's okay. Latias EX is going to be pretty solid, probably on like the level of Pekka EX, maybe a little bit better. Yeah, I'd say a little bit better than that, but as it can do less things, but it can do it for more types. And then Koraidon's a pretty good Pokemon. Hydreigon EX is okay. I'm not really sold on it, but some people think it's really good. Caledon EX is pretty solid. I thought there was another single prize there. Maybe there wasn't. And then there's the colorless ones. There is it's not here. So there's some solid Pokemon in this set, certainly. And there are some like solid train. Oh, we do have the Meowstic, which is cool. There are some really solid abilities as well. We have Meowstic. No, we have where's Meowstic? We do have the Lake Tree as well. We got Meowstic though. You have ourselves Magneton, which is pretty decent. We do have that Gastrodon, which is quite good. I'm sure there are a few Pokemon I'm just not really thinking of right now as well. But we got a bunch of decent Pokemon. Ultimately, the trainers are kind of bad though. Counting Gain's pretty solid. I don't think Callbell's going to be all that good. There's a lot of ace specs, but ultimately they're just like okay. I definitely think this is one of the weakest sets of ace specs. I guess Shrouded Fable, but that doesn't really count. And the trainers seem kind of mediocre. This set does not seem bad, but I will be putting it in B tier as well. Anyways, here's my tier list. I'm actually going to move 151 up. I think now that we have that space, it seems pretty fair to fill it in with that card. Obsidian Flames, I didn't really prepare this video too much coming in. I like prepare my thoughts. Obsidian Flames has been kind of bad because it's only had like 2 good cards, but that surprised me. Like those good cards are really good, Pidgeot EX and Charizard EX, but overall the sets have been pretty good. We see a lot of A and B tier sets. I don't think these lower sets have been that bad. They are mini sets. Paladin Fates was like really disappointing, I feel like, but it's also just mostly a collector focused set. So, but that means that doesn't really matter. But 151 was like kind of cool. The Pokemon were really interesting, but also kind of bad. But overall, Pokemon's done a really solid job of balancing the sets, which has been really fun. I'm excited to see how they take it forward into the future. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Consider liking, subscribing, hitting the bell, all that good stuff. And as always, I'm excited to see you in the next video.